Hey, welcome back to Camp Connect. I am so glad to welcome Meghan Heinrich to our general session. Meghan is, if you're going to say there is a lifer at camp, Meghan is a lifer. Your dad's a camp director, Meghan, and so you literally grew up at camp. Tell us a little bit about what it was like growing up at camp.
Sure. Well, basically, for the past 23 years, with the exception of this last summer when we didn't have camp, every summer of my life has been spent at camp. And so you can imagine it was very sad when that wasn't able to happen this last summer.
Yeah.
But I mean, what a childhood. It was absolutely incredible. There's literally, there's no funner place to be. And, from every single perspective, I grew up, I started attending camp as soon as I could. So when I was 8 years old, I, packed up my stuff and went to a cabin and got homesick and had to come home, which was like a 5-minute walk away. And I did. I attended camp until I was too old to do that. And then I volunteered until I was old enough to join the team. And then as I worked with the horses, and then I was a counselor for a number of years. And then when I, was old enough to be a director, I took that on, and that was a rodeo.
Mhm.
But it was all good. And from, every stage, having that perspective, you just, it's a part of who I am, and it's a place that I, continually ask myself, how can I go back?
Yeah.
Because now I'm
Yeah.
a little old and a little bit graduated from college and a little bit in the real world, as we hate to call it, and
Right.
it's just no better place.
Yeah. Was there ever a time growing up at camp where you were like, "Ugh, I just got to get out of here," or was camp just in your blood and you just loved every moment of it?
I cannot think. Yeah, no, I can't think of a moment when I was like, no, thank you. I do know there are moments, when you're tired and the kids are not cooperating, and you feel like your job is to make them happy and to exemplify the character of Christ, and you don't know if you have it in you. But those are precious moments too. They're not ones that, you're searching to get out of. You're like, it's up to God at that point, and that's exciting too, because he's the one that gets you through it. And so, yeah, no, I've never wished to be anywhere else.
Yeah. And you've already hinted at it, but I mean, last summer, for those of us that went through it and not having camp, like so many of our camps, were not able to. Talk to me a little bit more about what that feeling was like, living there at Leone Meadows, and it's empty. What did it feel like?
Well, I had just graduated in June of 2020, and so I, had the good fortune of living at home while I was working for or looking for a job. And home for me is Leone Meadows, and it was just surreal. You walk around to all of these places. You go down to the barn, and we still have a few horses there, and it seems like they should be ridden by some small children. And you walk over to where we have campfire, and like. You think about Friday night programs, Saturday night programs, when everyone's together and you feel the spirit moving, and that, these kids are coming together and experiencing, perhaps for the first time, the love of Christ that's like has been exemplified to them by the staff throughout the week. And, it was sad because I don't think camp is supposed to be quiet. I've never known camp to be quiet,
Nope,
never in all my
nope,
days. And
never.
so it felt like there should be some squeals of laughter and good times rolling. So yeah, it felt empty, and it felt like we were missing out on something really big that we're
Yeah.
hoping can happen again soon.
Yeah, and you're going through your own sense of loss now as you stepped out into um, away from camp now into the work world, and that's hard in many ways. I know I've never had to go through that journey. I sort of have, but I've been involved with camp for so many years. But as you think about your camp world now moving into your professional world, first of all, tell us where you're working, and then how has camp prepared you for that?
Absolutely. Camp will prepare you for anything. That's like the first, like, let's set the stage with that. Like, you will become such a good problem solver that you can walk into any situation, at least know that you'll be able to get through it. just because of how like the nature of camp and how it works. But currently I work as a publications editor for the Alumni Association here down in Loma Linda for the School of Medicine. And that may seem like a very quiet and not campy job, and in many ways it is. But when I was interviewing, I mean, I was looking for work for a while. You know, you come out as a fresh grad in 2020, there's not a whole lot of open doors. And so I sent out a lot of applications and got a lot of rejections. But the handful that I did get to the interview stage for, I was so prepared when they ask you questions like, you know, talk about a time when you had to overcome a challenge. And I was like, let me tell you, like, let me open up my portfolio.
Yeah.
There's so many, there's so many times where like you're put in unique situations and you have to creatively come up with solutions that, you know, will serve a broad group of people. But I think the ways that camp has really prepared me is that when you work at camp, you are joining a staff that, you know, no matter which way you cut it, is a diverse group of individuals with completely different backgrounds, but they come together for a common goal. And that, of course, you know, is exemplifying the character of Jesus Christ to kids and, you know, just opening up that amazing world for them. But camp cannot be done on your own. Like you can't, you have to rely on your fellow staff members. There's no way that anything would be a success. And like no aspect of camp could move forward without the entire team contributing. And so learning to work and appreciate so many different backgrounds and so many different talents that are brought to the table that I don't have. I mean, there are people that can accomplish things that I can't just because of who I am, and they can, and getting to cheer them on and receiving, you know, their support and vice versa. That is, I think, just like the most wonderful thing. And it'll prepare you, I mean, for any job that you want to do, if you ever want to do a job after camp, which honestly, it's not all it's cracked up to be, stay in camp. But definitely like working on a team and appreciating, you know, what other people have to offer and working through problems together. I can't think of a better thing that camp has given me.
Yeah, that's great. So obviously on this whole event here, we've got young adults from all over the country thinking about camp, wondering if it's for them, wondering if this is the summer that they ought to spring for a summer away from home and out in the wilds of camp. What do you say to, as someone who grew up in camp, what do you say to someone who's thinking about whether or not they ought to take that step?
If you are even just considering, you know, if you have no idea what camp is about, it just seems like something to do for the summer, do it. If you, you know, if your heart is in ministry already and you know you love young children, do it. If you think that you don't like kids and that you don't like hard work and the outdoors is scary, do it, because it doesn't even matter. Like God will take you wherever you are at camp. And like I said, like you will meet people on the entire spectrum. You know, I have friends that are now, you know, going into their 4th year at camp, and they said, honestly, when I applied, I didn't really like kids. I just felt like I, you know, needed something to do in the summer. And God will take you and grow you and use you to meet needs that like are real needs that only you can meet. And so just across the board, even if you are just unsure, like apply and see what the Lord can do, because he will take you wherever you're at. Like I guarantee it. You don't know me, but I guarantee it, because I already know. I got 23 years under my belt here at camp, and I've seen it. So absolutely, definitely take that. It doesn't matter the camp. They're all good.
That's right.
Just apply.
That's right. Yeah, you know, and I think both of us can attest that camp can get in your blood. And it's been over 30 years for me and 20 some for you. So look out, it just might become your life. And
it might.
And that's a good thing. That's
Definitely.
great. Meghan, thanks so much for joining us today. And it's just great to hear your story. Great to connect with you. Obviously, you have a history here at Sunset Lake as well, since your dad directed both camps. And so it's great to get to know you a little better. And thanks for all you've done for camp ministry.
Oh, absolutely.